right, and welcome to the second episode of Sports Talk with DK here in the basement of the One Lane Road podcast. Well, we're supposed to call it a basement. Is it a studio? It really is a studio. It's a studio in a basement. Lucas is going to gear up for our show that we're recording here in just a minute, so I'm going to be solo here. Might get Lucas to jump on here a few more minutes, but big week here in the state of Tennessee. Of course, we've got Tennessee and Florida coming up on Saturday. And also for the Titans fans, we have Titans versus Jaguars. You know, if you're a Titans fan, you're a Vols fan. The worst kind of fan you can ever ask for is a Gators fan or a Jaguars fan. And at least Florida, you know, they have room to, talk a little trash. You know, they've won 12 of the last 13 matchups and won national championships with Tebow and the rest of the thugs that he played with. And but Jaguars fans, I don't understand what the hell Jaguars fans are so cocky about. I mean, you've been so bad for so many years, and luckily the last few years they've drafted well, and they spend the most money in free agency, and finally some of those guys are hitting, unfortunately, and probably should have been in the Super Bowl last year if we're all being honest here. They're probably better than the Patriots, and they beat the Patriots last Sunday, so hopefully they'll be coming off that high a little bit. Maybe they'll overlook the Titans. The Titans are pretty banged up. We'll get into that here in just a minute. But so yeah, we got a lot of comments. I put it out there. I'm gonna be honest with you, and I'll mention it on the podcast probably as well. It's just kind of beat down right now. We're running a lot right now. Lucas runs hard a lot, and honestly, just didn't have a lot of time. Last week we didn't do a show on Wednesday, and we got together on Sunday night. And after we recorded our One Lane Road podcast show, I just didn't have a lot of energy or want to talk about any football. I was pretty spent from the weekend, so we didn't really get to even talk about all the happenings in the first week of the NFL season, of course. So now we're entering week 3, and a big year for the Titans. They've been kind of on the come up the last couple of years, 2 9-7 seasons back to back. A playoff win that maybe they shouldn't have won, trailing 21-3 last year at Kansas City, and it's a tough place to play, but the Titans have won there the last 2 years. So, but coming out, looking at the schedule when it was released, the Titans were not doing any favors by the schedule makers. They started off the season, with what should have been a gimme against Miami. Miami Dolphins, they were number 32 in a lot of people's preseason rankings. And then, Houston, Texas, a division rival, then of course, this week with Jacksonville and the Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles coming to town week 4. So, I looked at the schedule before the season and thought, man, if the Titans could be 2-2 after the first 4 games, they'll probably be doing pretty well, because after that you see Buffalo, you see Baltimore, 2 guys, teams that probably aren't going to be too good this year. So, of course, what happens in Miami, you go out there and Jerome Boger is the official, and he is, I think I said his name right, but I think we're like 1-8, 1-7 in the last few times he's officiated a Titans game. So that was not going our luck right off the bat. The defense kind of looked a little suspect. Then the worst thing happened. Marcus Mariota goes down with an elbow injury. Taylor Lewan gets knocked out with a concussion. And one of our most consistent players over the last 5 years, Delaney Walker, goes down with a fractured ankle and torn ligaments. So, not to mention, the game went through 2 rain delays that ended up making it the longest game in NFL history at 7 hours. Man, we just can't beat the Dolphins. I mean, I don't know what it is about the Dolphins. They took out Marcus a few years ago. I'm sitting in a stadium full of Dolphins fans as the crowd chants Dan Marino in the lower bowl of Nissan Stadium as he makes a surprise visit out there outside the tunnel. And then last year, the big duel between Matt Castle and Smoking Jay Cutler down in Miami. And tell you, the Titans just can't pull it off against these guys. So they went out and laid an egg. Started off 0-1 there against Miami. So I'm thinking, well, we're screwed. They got Houston coming in healthy, Jacksonville, Philly. The Titans have a real chance to go 0-4 here. So last week they come home, home opener, I should say. Without their quarterback. They go out there with 2011 draft pick Blaine Gabbert, who was well on his way to being a bust, but kind of resurrected his career the last couple years in San Francisco and Arizona and made himself a pretty solid backup. Taylor Lewan's out with a concussion. Not to mention right tackle Jack Conklin's out. And by the way, the third tackle, Dennis Kelly, ends up in the hospital before the game. So they're calling up practice squad guys to fill out their offensive line. And those guys done a hell of a job, only giving up 1 sack for the entire game. And, not to mention Delaney Walker's backup, Jonnu Smith, was pretty much non-existent the whole game. And they went out there and they beat Houston 20-17, the game that I never give them a chance in, honestly. But you got to give it up for the play calling. There was a 4th down where everybody thought they were going for a punt like normal, and Kevin Byard, the safety, throws it out to the other safety, Dane Cruikshank. So little trickery there. Then you got Big Derrick Henry with his rat turd hanging out of his back of his helmet there. He goes about 5 straight. I've went blank there, Lucas.
5 straight runs.
Right out of the Wildcat, the direct snap to Henry, and he went for 4 or 5 straight runs there. So little trickery there for the Titans, and they ended up the defense held when they had to. I mean, they had to get tired out there. They were on the field a lot as the Titans went 3 down a lot in the second half. But I thought they did well hiding Gabbert's deficiencies, and he played well. He threw some good balls when he had to. So a lot to be positive about there. But I mean, like I said, it was they had to kind of reach back in the bag, and it's kind of a good thing to get Deshaun Watson early in the season, even though he threw for over 300 yards. But it's always good to get a division win. This week we still don't know whether Mariota will go in active or not. I mean, like I said, Gabbert, you'd imagine he'll have to throw the ball a little bit more, but I would expect also to see a pretty good 1-2 punch of Henry and Dion Lewis. And Dion Lewis has proven to be the shifty kind of back that everybody thought he was going to be, catching passes and all that. So we'll see where they're at. We'll see. I'm still thinking it's going to be Texans and Titans competing for that second spot in the AFC division, South. But I mean, the Colts could sneak right in there. They're looking good to start the season off. So,
I got a quick question for you here.
Good, because it's weird doing it by myself.
Yeah.
All bland over here.
The Titans are playing the Jacksonville Jaguars on the 23rd there. Is that the mayonnaise team?
That is. That's the one Amber was talking about the mayonnaise.
I have tried to tell that story and could not remember whether it was Jacksonville or
so weird.
Yeah. I've tried to tell it, and then I've stopped 100 times because I thought, I can't remember the name of the team.
Jacksonville's the early pick to be in the Super Bowl for the AFC. So I'm reading. I've put all over social media. Whoa, I'm all over the place on this daggum post. I like to tell you, it was now I can't find it. I can't even look at the post I'm looking for.
We can pull it up on this computer.
I got it right here. Also, of course, the big thing this weekend, if the Titans thing, and let's see. I don't know. I don't remember what Amber was talking about with the mayonnaise.
Yeah, I'll find it. This may be distracting to you. I don't know.
It's a big rivalry game, though. I mean, you got to get the AFC South games. You got to get as many as you can. Last year, the Titans won 9 games, and 5 of those 9 were against the AFC South opponents. God, who would jump in a thing of mayonnaise?
Jacksonville
Jaguar jumps into a inflatable pool filled with mayonnaise. Jacksonville fans are the worst.
Celebrated being 1-0 Sunday.
Jacksonville has not won anything, but they think they've won it all. Like they've already won the Super Bowl. When the Titans went 2-0 against them last year, including Marcus Mariota. Damn, I'm complaining about people saying his name wrong, and I said it wrong. Marcus Mariota stiff arming Barry Church right into the ground to seal the playoff win. But like I said, they could have beat New England and did beat them this past Sunday for what it was worth, but I don't know if that's the biggest. NFL kind of goes over to the wayside a little bit when it comes to the college football ranks. And, of course, everybody's fired up for Tennessee, Florida. It always falls on Waylon's birthday weekend. And I tell you what, everybody's treating it. Go to StubHub real quick and see what you can get Tennessee versus Florida. Oh, StubHub there.
StubHub, yeah. I'm not good at this.
Florida won, let's see, they've won 12 out of the last 13, as I mentioned from the opener there. But everybody knows I don't follow college football hardly as much as I do the NFL. So that's really why I wanted everybody to jump in here and get a little creative for me. And I want to read everybody's predictions for this game. Wow. StubHub just not really cooperating, but so yeah, I asked for predictions, and so to read those, Zach Strickland said UT because it's a home game and our defense is starting to gel. Garantano is getting better every game. I'm still unsure about our offensive line, but I think we win by 7 or 10 here. Well, they just ain't trying to let you StubHub anything. Type in Florida Gators, see if it does anything. Of course, Chad Flatt, a noted Gator fan, he just gave me about 8 or 10 Gator emojis.
Mm-hmm. What day is that game on?
It's this Saturday. It's weird. It's weird it's not popping up anything. Rocky Jackson says UT by 14. As bad as our offensive line is, their defensive line is garbage, and CJP hasn't even shown a quarter of our playbook. Steve Slim Allen, I'm not going to pick a winner in the Tennessee-Florida game. I'm hoping for a W, but when you cannot control the front seven of ETSU and UTEP and dominate those two schools, it scares me to death about going up against the SEC defense. You'll never disparage the name of the powerhouse ETSU program on this show. Don Asbury be rolling over his grave. But UTEP, you can talk about UTEP all you want. Is you stay off ETSU. Thad John says go Vols. Ashley Chapman, go Vols. Justin Stewart, he had a thing on Twitter. I'll have to jump over. Michael A. Vigent says Vishon. I'm sorry, Mr. Michael. I think it's Vigent. Sorry, I'm a Gator fan all the way, but let us face facts. This game is going to be good because both teams suck this year. I predict lots of penalties and a pretty low score. Whoever has the most at the end of the fourth will win. I hope it will be Florida this year, just so I can hear the Tennessee excuses. Well, I didn't see it going that way. Didn't know Mr. Michael was a Gator fan.
So you can get upper level corner 0 or 00 seats for $96.55 piece, or you can get to the lower level sideline T, which puts you looking at about the Tennessee 40-yard line. Just $407.56 each.
Pretty good deal. Give me all three of them right there.
Or you can get to the other 40-yard line for $300. Wonder what the big difference is there between U and T. That that one of them's $100 and something cheaper.
Well, the one on T right there is trying to price it like it's 2009 over here.
Yeah. There's 28 available on one spot, and lower level T sideline for $547.40.
Yeah, those guys haven't come back to reality yet. Brittany Cassidy Roller, go Vols. Caleb Allen got a pretty funny meme here. It's Tom Hanks from Castaway says, been here since 99. I hope the Vols are still number one. For the championship, they won in 98. That's pretty funny. Carlos Soeska, always positive. Never has anything negative to say. UT versus Florida, no relevance. Not winning anything this year. Invites to the Home Depot Toilet Bowl. You know we have a team that goes to the playoffs every year and is favored to win the championship here in Nashville also. No prejudice talk. I don't like sports with white people and Canadians. There's two things I hate in this world. It's white people and Canadians. So moving on. UT Florida just for the party, baby. That's my friend David Paul Scantlin. Elwood Irvin, UT over Florida simply because it is Florida. Always choose the home team, but what do I know? I'm an MTSU fan. Justin Lee Martin. Vols, hopefully. Georgie Odom says Georgia over Mizzou. I'm not seeing that as being discussed. LOL. Hashtag go dogs. And then, let's see, we had a bunch on Twitter about it, so just kind of read everybody's. So right now, I mean, is anybody outstretched the tree? Like all the Vols fans are going for the Vols and Florida's going for Florida pretty much. Nothing.
I bet Blake's going for the Gators. What do you think?
I would think so. Let's see. Derek Woolbright, a.k.a. the illegitimate son of Coach Dave McGinnis, says with this description here. You know, Derek, we talk about Dave McGinnis all the time about knowing the game, and you just went full level analyst right here on me. Give me UT, mostly because I think UT's D-line and DBs are their two biggest weaknesses, and I don't think Florida's offensive line and passing game are strong enough to take advantage of it. Florida will make some plays, but I don't think it'll be enough to overcome UT running the ball the way they're going to. UT may not rush for 300 yards, but I think they'll carry it well enough to set up a couple big play-action shots, which has been the MO of their offense thus far. Should be an ugly game, but I'll take the #Vols. Then he says, also, two nearly even teams, I think. Home field advantage will be a factor. In all honesty, I'd probably take Florida if this game were in the swamp, but it isn't. There you go. It's finally a little bit of he would have taken, but he didn't. And Caleb Allen says, Florida. I think Florida gets back all their starters back besides one DB who's out for the season, and they make UT throw the ball, and I think Florida finally opens up the playbook. Both teams are terrible. Florida can stop the run than UT, but I think Florida can stop them from running the ball, even though they haven't proved it through 3 games. It's going to be a fun game for sure. Just hope it ends in my favor. Go Gators. Justin Stewart says, Tennessee in another shootout. Under the lights in Neyland, 102,455 screaming Vols. God dang, he's setting it up right here.
I can feel it.
Oh, yeah. Both teams are really going to struggle this year, but I think Tennessee's defense is just a little bit stronger. They have shown improvement the past 2 weeks. If Tennessee's O-line can open some holes and let Chandler and Jordan get some chunk yardage, I like their chances. This game would be close even if one was ranked number 1 and the other was ranked last in FBS or whatever they call it now. So this always kind of gets the juices flowing around here. There's a lot of, John Godwin. I don't understand. How do you get to be a Florida fan in Tennessee in the first place?
Where'd all the Alabama fans come from, too? Florida and Alabama fans everywhere.
Mm.
There's as many Florida and Alabama fans as there is UT fans.
Now, Don Asbury, I asked him about it one time, and he said that he actually has been a Florida fan for years. Early 90s, went through all the crap before they caught relevance again in the 2000s. Travis Hunt for the same thing at work this morning. He was writing Roll Tide over Chris Hickey's board at work, and I said, how'd you get to be a Alabama fan? He said, well, I was born in Alabama, which explains a lot, Travis. Anyway, sorry for the creepy laugh. I was trying to act like I was kidding. But anyway, I don't know. But everybody sure is, and I just I don't know. Maybe it's just by default. Everybody's a Tennessee. I mean, hell, you're drinking out of Tennessee. We're drinking out of Tennessee cups right now. We're from Tennessee, Jack.
Tennessee, Jack. Vegas.com has the odds on this game as Florida is the favorite in the point spread of 4.5.
We'll need Doug Martin to explain that.
If he could come on and tell us what that means, that would be fantastic. I do know that them saying that the money line's minus 110 means they're a very, very small favorite.
I tell you what.
I guess I'd have to see the Tennessee side too to say that for sure, though.
Speaking of Doug Martin, he said, hey, Dustin, long-time listener, first-time caller, going to go ahead and say Vols 90 because it feels like 98. I love Doug Martin. Jerk. He won't come on the show because he's afraid to get roasted, but he... It
won't happen when he's on. It'll happen after he leaves.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But I'm looking for my dinner at Benny T's soon, Doug. If you quit, no, don't sing it, bring it. How I feel about it. So I don't know if you can hang. You might be able to hang with Dustin, but I don't know if you ever hang with DK on a night in town in Cookville. You may better watch out. I'll have you over at Club Revolver or whatever they call in that skank joint these days. You never know. It's been, how you're getting old when the bar next to Woolly Bully has been like 5 things since you've been over age.
I referenced something up there the other day to some kids that had just got to Cookville, and they said, I'm sorry, I don't know what that is. I said, Well, I'm getting old. I've been gone for 10 years now.
Dang. It was Ravens when they used to have these Thursday night or Tuesday night, I think, fights. Have a little ring set up, and then people would go in there and box. That was Ravens, and it turned into the library. That's when about 2007, probably 2008. And then, let's see, Rodeo Bob's, I think. Then it was Club Lava for a little bit. Club Lava sounds like the single sketchiest bar ever. Like there would be like...
I would expect to go in and see strippers in Club Lava. I completely
if when they cleaned that place out and there wasn't used condoms and traces of cocaine everywhere, I'd be shocked. There's nothing else. There's no follow up to that. I was thinking about the cleaning up cocaine residue and used condoms. And anyway, now it's Revolver, which just sounds stupid altogether. Chris Collett says, I'm sorry if I'm saying your last name wrong. I just know you from Twitter. I'll go with Tennessee because Butch Jones isn't on the sideline to F something up this year. Truer words never been spoken. I think it's probably the truer statement. Butch Jones probably a little bit over his head during that time. So anyway, look forward to seeing what goes down the UT Florida game. Always a lot of trash being talked, but this year not a lot of trash can be talked to. Pretty mediocre. They're starting from the bottom, building the programs back up. So another thing we talked about here on this show that we're going to talk about on this show is for the Titans, we touched on the Tennessee Titans Jaguars game coming up this Sunday from Jacksonville, but Titans are celebrating their 20th year in the league now, since from the move from Houston, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to kind of get everybody's favorite Titan. So many different options. You'd expect several different answers over 20 years. And do you have a favorite Titan, Lucas?
No, I have. I can name you 3 Titans.
Who?
No, I can't.
You can.
Javon Curse.
Okay.
Steve McNair.
Yeah.
And Javon Curse.
You better not forget Eddie George.
Eddie George.
You know Eddie George, too. So I am going to give a little bit of a list. I was surprised by some of these answers. I can't remember if I went to Twitter with this, too. I'll tell you what, guys, I'm over my head a little bit this week. I've had a busy week, and I was trying to knock this out. But so Pete Griffin, he says a tie between Eddie George and Javon Curse. Both guys helped create a definition to what a Tennessee Titan was with their styles of play and being a part of the community. And that still rings true. 20 years later, Eddie still has a talk show here on Wednesday nights when he can make it. And Javon Curse was just at a tailgating area on Sunday for the home opener. And that's one of the Titans I've never met either, was the Freak. He's one of the few I've never met. But Scott Orlip says Kevin Dyson is the man for the Titans, which, Kevin Dyson was, to be honest, of course, One Lane Road podcast alumni.
Right.
But he, pretty okay career, really, just 4 years with the Titans. Not to be mean, but if he wasn't the man that was, in the Music City Miracle, probably not as big in these parts, but he was, and it's good for him.
Mm-hmm.
Rocky Jackson, favorite Titan ever was Javon Curse. The Freak lived up to his name. CJ, Eddie George. Here's a surprising one. Steve Slim Allen picked Mark Mariani. He did some great interviews on the Zone. They called him Moonshine Mariani, and he just seemed like a great guy. Real estate agent now in Nashville. Curtis Hatcher says Steve McNair because he was a classy guy. And I know he was just probably dripping with sarcasm because he got busted with his mistress and shot to the head on his death. So I know where you're at, Curtis. Curtis Rich said, I don't have a fight in that UT game, but I do hope UT loses. Okay, I missed that the first time around. Steve McNair is the greatest Titan of all time. He's the first guy in Tennessee sports that I can remember being bigger than life. And still to this day, probably because of the mediocre quarterback play we've had since he retired. Probably rings true still. And, McNair, and I'm going to probably be blasted for this, but overall, McNair probably a little overrated in what people think of him as a Titan. Hell of a Titans player. An MVP, deserved his MVP, and would play hurt and injured, but if not for the quarterbacks that followed him, we probably wouldn't still think of him as highly on the list. Probably not ever going to make the Hall of Fame like everybody seems to think. I love him there, but truth's true. Jeremiah Rexdale. I guess everyone's just going to forget about Aldo Greco. There you go. Parker Dawson says Frank Wycheck, class act and no-nonsense guy, and possibly the only guy to throw a forward lateral on the Music City Miracle. So, Lucas. It's not a forward lateral. Not maybe if you're in Buffalo, it's a forward lateral. Christy Chavin says Javon Curse, athletic ability and hustle. Javon Curse from another Brittany. Eddie George, hands down, from Elwood Irvin. Bruce Matthews from Justin Martin. Several more on Twitter. Sorry, guys, I'm not going to be able to flip back and forth to Twitter, but a lot of people saying Steve McNair. I think
Shout out to Elwood, by the way.
Hell yeah. Probably will never listen to the show. He may or may not, but if he does,
Who the hell knows?
we love you. Elwood played the shit out of some instruments at Jessica's wedding a few years ago. He played the hell out of the drums and stuff.
Oh, well, right.
It was awesome, man. Played guitar, I think. I can't remember. I was drunk. But anyway, I know Blake Allen said, popular choice, Steve McNair. Also, shout out Javon Curse. He was on the Mount Rushmore of Titans. And Caleb said, popular choice, McNair. Unpopular choice, Baronis. I love Baronis. And tomorrow's I think the anniversary of his death, where he just got crazy the night of his death and was chasing people down in his car. And nobody ever really knows what was going on. Some pills mixed with some alcohol, but
oof.
I don't know. One of the best kickers in the history of the Titans. Were pretty clutch. My favorite Titan of all time. Probably much maligned and criticized, but Jake Locker is probably my favorite Titan of all time. And spent more time in the locker room and on the sideline than did on the field, but played behind a sketchy offensive line. And I love Eddie George, and I love the legacy of Steve McNair. Mistress or not, and several Titans, and I like a lot of the new guys, but I don't know, Jake Locker. I can't really relate to a lot of NFL players, believe it or not. Only football I ever played was on Madden.
Mm-hmm.
But there's something about Jake Locker that always, he drove a Silverado, he wore jeans and cowboy boots with a hat, and just I believe we could get out and have a good time. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
just something about a guy that just looks like us. And a lot of times, even though I'm not a big hunter, when I got to talk to him off the field, we would talk about hunting just because I knew how much of a hunter he was.
Right. I have never played a game of football in my life, and my size would suggest otherwise. So a lot of times, whenever somebody's talking about football around me, they'll ask me, "Where did I play?" or this and that, or did I play this and that? No, I never.
Well, we didn't have it.
Yeah, I said we didn't have it where I was at, and this and that. But she goes into how little was your school and this and that.
Yeah,
but don't know the rules.
Would you have played if we had a team? We could have went to Salina.
Then, no, I wouldn't have went to Salina to play.
Hell no.
I wasn't have interested in it enough to have got on a bus and went somewhere else and played. But would I have played then? Yes. Looking back, am I glad I didn't? Yes. I'm glad I didn't play. Just because, 99% of the people that they've tested that's ever played football at any level ever has got CTE.
Yeah, but your head's too big. I think
that's what I'm saying, man. That's this thing's gonna get hit. Look at the size of this thing. The Allen boys sent me this wonderful hat, and I've had to unbuckle it in the back to get it around my head.
Oh, all the way.
Yeah,
I thought it actually fit.
No.
Oh shit, it's unbuckles. I'll get it. Hey, the best answer on this, Doug Martin. Either Cortland Finnegan because he doesn't give a rip about Andre Johnson, about the fight there that Andre Johnson whooped his ass, or Pac-Man because he doesn't give a rip about anything. Honorable mention to Chris Sims. Glad you didn't throw out Porzingis from the Knicks for your favorite Titan because every answer he ever gave on my show was Porzingis on my radio show. So anyway, thanks for the interaction, everybody. Just a little sports talk there for you. So look. Short week. Didn't have a lot of time. Thank you for the interaction because I had nothing this week really to talk about. So big week for the Titans, big week for the Gators and Vols, and look forward to everybody's interaction next week. And now let's get on over and do the One Lane Road podcast.